Hey, what's up, guys? It is Monday, and we are live, ready to talk some baseball. This is my favorite MLB slate of the year so far. I like the way this one breaks down. I'm a monster fan of this MLB slate today. It is a great day to get that MLB members only video, guys. It's really easy to get it with any of the subscriptions you can get through the website. The link is below. I enjoyed the members only video. Let's crush this thing.
Yeah, let's get it, man. You being so excited about it gets me excited about it. Not gonna lie.
I like that. I like that. So we'll get into pitching here momentarily. As you can see, we're going to talk some chalk today. But before we get into it, guys, only 3 days left to get into the massive overlay contest on drafters. There's still, as of right now, a little like 60% full on this thing. So there's going to be big overlay on it. And it's only $5.50. It is the NFL contest. They are looking for as many GPP players as they can get. It's going to be a fun season to get in on this one, guys. If you're not playing on drafters yet, what are you waiting for? I know you're feeling good after you beat me and a random player the other night on our NBA draft. I seriously look forward to these drafts every single day. You knock them out in 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on how long they are. The most fun part about fantasy sports is the draft, and you get to do these every day you want to. I really want this website to get bigger because I would do drafts all day long if more people were playing on it. So it's a blast. It's called Drafters. Promo code's DFS 5-pack. Please sign up today and come get in our DFS 5-pack draft later today.
Yeah, we're excited about what we got going on here. And one thing I haven't brought up in a while, but I'm thinking about today, like even if you haven't tried drafters yet, and you play mostly on DK or FanDuel, whatever it is, try out drafters because one thing for me that I noticed for sure is that it really helps me hone in on the guys I like. Like when we're doing our drafts, you have to make the decision on who you like between player A and player B. So then later, when I'm looking at my DK or FanDuel lineups, it's not exactly the same, but I know who I like better. So it helps me personally.
The other thing for me, for like NBA this time of the year, if I can't pay attention all night long, but I want action because I'm still
Right.
going to be on my phone checking scores, like I can't do DK because it's too competitive. But on drafters, you're not playing. You're not playing Chetty last night because you only got maybe 10 picks between, 2, 3, 4 people. Even when you're doing the large field GPP tournaments, you're only drafting with 3 others. So you don't have to worry about those things quite as much. And
Great
then you can
point.
just bounce. And they do this thing called auto swap for you. If your guy is yanked from the game, which has happened in both sports right now, they put in the next best guy for you, which is save me some money this year.
Yeah, I mean, especially right now with how the NBA is playing out, like with salaries not really meaning as much as they normally do, it makes DK and FanDuel so much harder. I'm with you.
All right, guys, membership's available through the website. Today's a great day. Let's go. We got NBA playoffs coming up soon. We're going to win some money in the NBA playoffs this year, guys. So get your membership now and get ready to go for this. We're going to win. We're going to take down some. We got 3 straight years of like big time GPP wins all over the place in the playoffs, and we are ready to roll for this one. So subscribe to the station if you're new to it. Let's talk pitching today. So you guys want to talk chalk? I'm proposing Corbin Burnes will be 90% plus on cash games and about 75% in GPPs. This is a risky damn fade, guys. If you don't know much about Corbin Burnes, I get that. He's not a household name like Jacob deGrom. When deGrom goes off, like we all kind of know it. Max Scherzer goes off, like we all know that. Corbin Burnes' stuff is elite. This is not a surprise that he's pitching really well. Maybe this well, but that he's pitching well is not a surprise. I've been watching this kid for years. He's got his cutter is one of the best pitches in the game. He's going up against the below average offense tonight in Miami that strikes out a lot. He's off to a literal all-time great start. His numbers are up there with one of the some of the greatest starts of all time. This is a risky fade. There's other pitchers we like, but this is a tough one to get away from.
Yeah, it's very tough to get away from. Just like you mentioned, there's other pitchers we like, but there's definitely no other aces on the slate. You've got a guy in Urias who doesn't have nearly the same upside that Burnes does. Who's the next highest pitcher on the slate? He's coming off his best start ever, so maybe people will look at there, but I doubt it. Burnes has been so good. I mean, you look at those numbers. Just check the game log. No walks, 40 Ks. I mean, at some point, he's going to come back down to earth, and he's not going to have numbers like this forever. But you don't need, 35 every single start. Like, he gives you 25 here. I mean, you just take it and move on. I struggle to see him getting, hit hard. Like you've mentioned, he hasn't given up any hard hits all year. You just plug him in and move on and, find ways to get different elsewhere if that's what you're about.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I view this one. Again, you're right. He's not going to end the year with a whip at .33. But this guy hasn't walked anybody yet. He gives up like no hard contact. He's given up one run all season, and now he's getting what's one of the better matchups in baseball to boot. So I'll ask you a question. If you were like a betting site, for example, what would be the DK point total that you would give, like as like the median amount that you would want to like take over under bets on?
30.
Yeah, I was thinking like 30, 31, so I'm with you on that. And if that's what you're thinking, that's why it's such a hard fade.
For sure. I'm with that.
All right, next up. So I'm gonna talk about Odor, and this is one of those plays that I really, really hope everybody listens to, because sometimes we talk about guys and it's like you got to get him in your lineup, and other times it's more of a nuanced conversation. And I would like to have a more of a nuanced conversation about Odor. He is 3,100 today. He's got dual eligibility at second and third, and we expect the Yankees to be chalk today. And more than just the Yankees being chalk, like Odor sets up as potentially the highest owned guy in the slate because he's on the chalk offense. He's hit some home runs lately, and he's a lefty against Matt Harvey. He's got dual eligibility. He's dirt cheap. Like he projects as the highest owned guy of the day. I expect him to be the highest owned guy of the day. So you should lock him into cash games. But I could definitely get on the GPP fade right here. And we've talked about the Yankees for a long time on this slate because we expect them to be wildly popular. Like, it's possible this guy hits another home run today, but I'm extremely interested in the GPP fade and either not playing hard on the Yankees or just playing the other Yankees within this, within a kind of a build, because he's going to be in most Yankee stacks.
Yeah. One thing for sure, I could definitely not seeing myself personally using Odor as a tournament one-off here. I think that's just silly. He's going to be so popular in all those Yankee stacks. I mean, listen, we talked about the Yankees a lot on the members only video. I like them much more than I normally like the chalk offense on the board. It's hard not to like them today. That being said, like, we know who Odor is. I mean, he's a career probably 215 hitter. He's got power, but on any given day, no one is surprised when he puts up zero. Definitely intriguing fade in tournaments. In cash games, you plug him in because he really helps out with your cap space, part of that Yankee stack, etc. And as far as tournaments go, like, I'm only using him if he like fits my Yankee stack. And even then, like we talked about this, I'm highly considering just getting off the Yankees in tournaments.
I kind of think like in cash games, he'll be like 50 to 75% owned, which is why like you can eat a zero on him.
Sure.
And still, get into the top half and make your money. But I love the GPP fade of him in this situation. That's why I wanted to talk about him. He is not a good hitter. He does have good power. So I want you to think about the statistical breakdown about how you get points on DK. This is not a guy that goes 4 for 4 more than like once a year, right? So like you need him to hit a home run to ruin you tonight. Do you want to bet on him to homer? I'm not going to bet on him to homer. Like, he definitely could. He's very capable of it. But you got to, pick and choose your battles on this one. And I think the GPP fade of this guy is legit today because I kind of expect him to be close to 50% in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. If I'm like, I think the only difference I see, if I'm like stacking the Yanks and going hard on them, I'm not going to like use every Yankee except for Odor. But I'm also not locking Odor in all my lineups by any means. And if I'm not stacking the Yankees, I'll cross them off my player pool.
Amen. All right. So next up, we're going to pivot over to a different Yankee. So again, they're getting a lot of attention today. They deserve a lot of attention. They get Matt Harvey, and there's a lot of decent pitchers on this slate. So there's not a lot of quote unquote crush spots. They're the New York Yankees. And while they haven't been great this season, it's a great offense, and it will be great at some point this year. So you wanted to talk about Gary Sanchez. First things first, this doesn't really mean anything, but like you've been a good luck charm bringing him up on the show. That you've called him out on 6 times last year, and I think you got 3 of his big games or something like that. So like it's been good luck. We never mind riding a little good luck on this one, but because of his price tag, he will be a low-owned part of the Yankee stack. So if you like the Yankees but you want to be different, like I bet you Gary Sanchez is 1/10 the ownership of Odor.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I'm glad you brought that other point up. We seem to be on the same wavelength today because one thing that I'm struggling with, to give a little insight, I've had a lot of success with the Yankees, specifically in Baltimore. So that doesn't really mean anything, but it's definitely like in the forefront of my brain right now. And that's making me like them maybe even more than they should. As far as Sanchez goes, you look at his price tag compared with some of the other Yankees. You brought up Odor. There's a couple other really cheap guys. He's basically the same price as Stanton. those are the guys that are going to be priorities. So while Sanchez won't be unowned, he's going to be one of the lowest owned pieces of the stack. And while he hasn't been great this year, his power upside is still right there with anyone in the lineup except for probably Judge and Stanton. And if you're stacking the Yankees and you're using a guy like Odor who's going to be, going to get a ton of love, I like mixing in guys like Sanchez that aren't going to be as popular because of his price tag.
All right, next up. So let's talk about some Oakland A's. So the A's are kind of a lower-owned stack that we have some intrigue in today. But if you're playing cash games, the guy that you can expect to be relatively popular today, it's going to be Mark Kanya. I think the industry has really wisened up to what a good hitter he is. He's a good baseball player. Not great. He's not an A player or anything like that, but he's a solid hitter. But he's actually very good against left-handed pitching. Rich Hill's the guy who's had a nice, solid career when actually being healthy, but he's looked pretty bad to start the year. And I don't know how old Rich Hill is, but he's up there. So the idea that kind of like he's just not what he once was is very, very plausible. It could just be a bad start to the season, or he could just not be very good anymore. That happens. Guys get old. Father Time is literally undefeated. He is the Floyd Merriweather of, just all sports, right? Like he always wins eventually, and that is a possibility here. So Kanye was bad yesterday. I know he was relatively popular. I think he took the 0-4 with a bunch of Ks, but he's still a pretty good hitter, bat and leadoff. And if you put together the chalk SP1 and SP2, like he is right in the perfect price tag for, your build and everything like that.
Yeah, he looks like a really nice cog type. You mentioned it, has been really good against left-handed pitching, has been good all year. He fits that A stack that we talked about that we like as kind of a sneaky stack. Yeah, a lot to like here. His price still hasn't come up, and I think he looks good in all formats.
Yeah, I highly expect him to be the most popular Oakland Athletic today.
Same.
All right, next up. So we had a couple of stacks that were going to be lower owned that we had some intrigue in. The other one was going to be the Houston Astros. Importantly, the red-hot Yuli Gurriel, who's getting like no attention on this one. And something I like is Sheffield's not a complete and utter dumpster fire, but he is one of the weaker pitchers on the slate. And they haven't given him much of a routine this year. Starting pitchers, for the most part, are creatures of habit. And he hasn't been on that 5-on, 5-off type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like the 5 days of rest. It's been all over the place with him, which I don't like for a pitcher.
Yeah, there's nothing to like about that. And it's a really good spot for Houston. I mean, you never like, what you just talked about specifically, a guy having, he had, 19 days off, then 7 days off. Specifically don't like that when he's coming into a tough spot like this against Houston. It doesn't strike out, that works pitchers. This is a rough spot for Sheffield, and I'm not going to be surprised if Houston's the top stack on the board. They're not getting nearly the love as some other teams we talked about because of their price tags. They don't have quite the same intrigue because they're not facing Matt Harvey, on the road. That said, I like them a lot. You brought them up on our members only video. Gurriel's probably our favorite piece, crushing right now, career lefty masher, hitting in the middle of this lineup. I don't think he gets a lot of love at 4,600 either.
He might be one of the more underrated players in baseball. He never gets talked about. Like when you think of the Astros, and even I do the same thing, you think of Correa, Altuve, Bregman. Now Alvarez, used to be Springer, but Gurriel over the last couple of seasons has been right there with these guys, but he just doesn't get the attention. He doesn't have the name value that, he was a lot better than Altuve last year, but you still think of Altuve as being one of the cogs and him as just being the secondary hitter.
Right. I think partly is because he's never had a ton of power, and he's never been as good as Altuve was,
Yeah.
But I don't disagree. We've talked about that a lot. I mean, he's always kind of felt like second fiddle in that Houston lineup.
And he shouldn't be. I mean, he doesn't have the monster, sexy appeal of a Yordan Alvarez, who you kind of just assume is going to hit a home run every day. Or, he's never won a batting title like Jose Altuve. He's not the hot prospect that Carlos Correa used to be. But this guy's been as consistent as anybody for this team for the last couple seasons.
I agree with that.
So, all right, guys, that's what we got for today. Check out members only. All packages available through the website. Let's do some drafters drafts. Let's have some fun today. And best of luck to everyone tonight. Talk to you about NBA in a minute.
Thanks, guys.